Well, hello and welcome to another CSG Networking podcast. Today's guest is Matt Remuzzi from CapForge. Matt, am I saying that last name correctly?
It's actually Remuzzi. I tell people it rhymes with fuzzy. That's how you can remember it.
I should have asked that. That was one thing I should have asked.
No problem.
Well, Matt is with CapForge. Matt loves accounting, or to be more clear, he loves that timely, effective bookkeeping and accounting helps businesses increase profitability. His team at CapForge provides bookkeeping, tax and accounting services for franchise systems and small business owners. Been doing it since 2000, with a focus on 5-star review service, jargon-free communication, and using your financial statements to optimize your revenue. Welcome, Matt.
Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it. It's always great to talk to fellow business owners and hopefully share some good tips, some content, and make new connections, new friends.
I'm sure you will. Well, why don't we start right off, and why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and your company, CapForge?
Sure. So I always wanted to be an entrepreneur. I just didn't know what I wanted to do. So it took me until I was in my 20s. I went to get an MBA at San Diego State. They had an entrepreneurship program, and I thought, finally, this is it. I can be a business owner like I've always wanted to be. I got out of the program and I got a job. And I was like, But I kind of needed a job, and then I got laid off. And I had been doing small business consulting, working with small business owners, and I thought, you know what? I can keep doing that even though I'm not working for this company anymore until I go get a real job again. Well, 23 years later, I still haven't gotten a real job. So it's worked out by accident. I wanted to have my own business. I didn't know how to do it, but I sort of fell into this, and it's been fantastic ever since. It's what I was meant to do.
Experience is the best teacher. So there you are. So, so CapForge, can you give us a little insight into what your specialty is?
Yeah, definitely. So when I was first getting started working with small business owners, the problem I kept hearing about over and over again was, the books are a mess, the books are behind, I'm trying to do them myself, but I don't really know what I'm doing. Or, my niece's friend, she took a QuickBooks class once, so she's our bookkeeper now. And, it just was a recurring problem. And I saw a place, there's an opportunity here to be able to do this well. But also, the thing that was missing from most accounting, and still is today, is the customer service part, right? So you want to do good quality accounting, but you also want to have great customer service, just like any business, right? That's what the clients are most interested in. They want to be served well by someone who knows what they're doing, someone who communicates timely, someone who gives them, transparent value. Here's what we charge, here's what you get. It couldn't be any simpler. It's not an hourly clock that's running. You never know when it's going to stop. How many hours are you going to rack up this month? How come this month is twice as many hours as last month, even though we had basically identical months? So I wanted to kind of take all that nonsense out of it and just have a straightforward professional bookkeeping service that small business owners could really get a lot of value from. And I started at the spare bedroom in the house, and now we're up to 70 employees, over 1,000 clients. So I feel like I'm vindicated. The formula worked. It was a good idea.
That's fantastic. Wow, that's really good. Now, I do notice that you kind of focus in a little bit on e-commerce. Can you tell us some of the tricks and trades of the e-commerce world as it pertains to bookkeeping and taxes?
Yeah, so, we got a call years ago from a guy who said, hey, I sell stuff on Amazon. Can you help me with the bookkeeping? And I'd never done any bookkeeping for e-commerce before, but we dove in, we kind of learned, and it's really its own animal. The reports are different. The way the whole accounting cycle works, you buy inventory months before you sell it, you finally sell it, and then you get paid weeks later. And so getting all that to line up in the accounting, figure out what reports to use and how to track all that was definitely, a complicated project. It wasn't like working with a dentist's office or a restaurant or something, it was its own animal. So we learned how to do that with this one particular client. And he said, hey, by the way, I'm in a Facebook group and some other people are asking, do you mind if I put your name out there? I said, oh, that would be great. So here we are, hundreds and hundreds of e-commerce clients later, we've become real experts in that space because it is different than the typical bookkeeping challenges that a Main Street type business would face. So we learned how to do that. And the most important thing we've learned there is that you really have to do what's called accrual accounting, right? So cash basis And again, not to get in the weeds on this, but cash basis is kind of like, here's what's in my bank, right? I buy something, my bank balance goes down. I have sales, my bank balance goes up. Easy. But with e-commerce, like I mentioned, you might buy your inventory months before you even get it into the US if you're buying it from overseas, and then another month or two before you get to sell it. So you got all that money out, but then you sell it today and then you don't get paid for a couple weeks if you're working with Amazon. They pay you once every 2 weeks. So trying to get all that to line up and figure out, here's how much I had in sales and here's how much those products cost me, is a lot more work, because you know the costs and the sales when the money came in, is the timing is all off. So by doing it in accrual, we can get it to all line up, and you can see, am I making any money at all this work? You know, because a lot of folks get into this, they look at their bank balance, they can't really tell if they're making money or not making money, because inventory is coming and going and sales deposits are coming in every so often. I can't really tell how they're doing. So what we can help them do is convert it to that accrual style of accounting, so they can see every single month, how much am I making, how profitable am I, where do I have room for improvement, how can I grow this thing, and that's what we try to help them with.
Great tip. And I would ask if maybe that sounds like one of the main things that you talk about with the e-commerce site. But do you see, is there another issue that you would either warn people about or let them know about as they're thinking about doing this kind of work, besides the accrual versus cash?
Yeah, so another thing that people do, and this is all small businesses, there's a lot of temptation to kind of commingle stuff, right? You've got your business card, you pay for some personal stuff. You've got your personal card, you pay for something for the business. And it makes things harder on you to kind of figure out what's coming or going, how much am I making, how much am I taking out of this business, you know, aside from just what I might be paying myself in distributions or on payroll, how much am I really benefiting from this business? So one thing I would encourage small business owners to do is try to get a little more organized. If you're using a couple personal credit cards, some of them for the business, that's okay, but put aside one or two that you just use for the business and one or two that you use just for personal stuff, and absolutely have separate checking accounts for that. And that will make your life much easier to see what's coming in, what's going out, how much do I have left, projecting for the future, how much cushion should I have, how much am I going to owe in taxes. When everything's kind of commingled together, it becomes a lot trickier and harder to know where you're at, and harder to, that's where people go through that 2 weeks of tearing their hair out ahead of tax time, trying to find all those receipts and what did I get here and there. So, you can do yourself a huge favor by just being a little more organized, a little more on top of it throughout the year and keeping stuff separate, and it's going to really pay big dividends when it comes to that year-end stuff.
Awesome. Good advice. Because we're kind of a technology company, are there any trends or technologies that you see the industry moving toward that either you're using or you think are technologies people might consider? Maybe it's software. Maybe it's something in the software field.
Well, a lot of accounting has really moved into, being internet-based and cloud-based, right? In the old days, people would come by their accountant's office, they'd bring a bunch of papers, they'd do your taxes, they'd print out a bunch of papers, they'd give you a whole bunch of stuff to take home again. We've really moved into the digital age. Stuff is all, saved in the cloud. It's all via email and secure portals and things like that. So if you're still working with a lot of paper and receipts and writing things down, you're probably making things harder on yourself, and also for sure on your accountant, having to, scan that, digitize it, and turn it back into bits and bytes, right? So if you can get yourself a little more organized and a little more digital, you're going to make your life a lot easier. And then as far as software, people have been talking about, accounting is one of those places, right? The robots are going to take over. AI is going to do it all. Well, the hardest part of it is the client communication. Me having a conversation with you, what did you do this year? What's different? What's new? What are you trying to accomplish? And the software is not at the point where it can understand those conversations yet and bake it into what we do. So yes, I'm not a Luddite, right? If there's software that can help me do my job more easily, I'm all for it. But I think we're still a long ways off before the computer can sit down and have a conversation with you and figure out how to help you with your business and with your taxes. So.
Oh, absolutely. Boy, I couldn't agree more with all those statements. Well, you and I may have to have a conversation, Matt. So
Fair enough. I'm
Guilty as
ready.
charged on a lot of those issues. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen out there in the audience, please watch the end of the video. You'll get all of Matt's information, how you can reach out to him. Check him out on LinkedIn. He's got some cool webinars up there that can teach you some stuff. Matt, I can't thank you enough for being on the podcast. I appreciate it very much. Look forward to
Thanks for
talking to you
having me.
again soon.
Yeah, no, thanks for having me. I was fantastic and I really appreciate it. You take care.
You too.